the beginning, the dream was simple. He just wanted to play baseball. Armed with a bat and a firm resolve, he set about his quest. The years went by, the records fell, and a baseball hero came to be. Major League Baseball Productions presents Hank Aaron, Brave Hero. With 714 career home runs, Babe Ruth established a mark that stood for 39 years. In the process, he became bigger than the game.
Every time you mention baseball, Babe Ruth. I mean, he captured the imagination of baseball fans, of non-baseball fans all over the country and throughout the world. I mean, the measuring stick will always be in baseball. What is Babe Ruth?
In Americans' mind, Babe's still the king, you know, but in the minds of us that play baseball, that are in baseball, Hank is the king, and you know, he'll always be the king.
When Hank Aaron began to close in on the Babe's sacred home run record, he had pressure on him that went beyond hitting a curveball.
It's been a long time since it's been anything like an ordinary ball game for Henry Aaron. Every time he came to bat, pressure cooker time.
This guy had 10, 15 people following him everywhere. I mean, to the bathroom, to when he went in to get new equipment, when he walked out in the field, there was always someone there and watching. And while I didn't know the exact pressures, I knew that there had to be something going on because he had the personal bodyguard. But he never complained. I never saw him do anything other than be Henry Aaron.
Hank received almost 1 million letters in 1973, and some of them tore at his heart.
He showed us the hate mail, yeah. Some of it. You know, some of it, just like a parent protecting your kids. I mean, you want to show them just enough to no longer be naive, but at the same time, you don't want to destroy their thought process of what the world's all about. And it was nasty. Some of it was just way nasty. It wasn't all from the South either. It was from all over the country.
I guess it was more because of the color of Hank's skin that made it even worse, because the things that they said to him and the terms that they used in their letters and, you know, phone calls and stuff like that. And it's sad.
700 letters every 2 days. How much of that would be
I
hate
would
mail?
say about, we get about 600 of that is really is kids and people all over the United States is pulling from it. You know, and when I say 600, I mean the other 100, it's the people that do not want Babe Ruth home run record wiped off, you know.
So there is no hate mail as far as hate mail has been defined, where they say you're black and you don't, you shouldn't be doing that.
Well, it's not that many, Joe. We do get some, but it's not that many.
It bothered me at the time, you know, to think that somebody could sit down and write vicious letters to someone, no matter what the circumstances are, you know, that they would be concerned about you, you know. So I just kind of erased it a little bit.
Hank simply focused on the job at hand.
Standing ovation here in Atlanta Stadium, and why not? 700 home runs, brother. Well, a historic blow by Hank Aaron. Number 700, no question about it. It went in the seats in left field.
Hank finished the '73 season with 713 home runs. Throughout the offseason, he was constantly asked when he thought he might catch the Babe.
I don't know how to answer questions like that. Somebody said, well, you think you're going to do it opening day? You think you're going to do it this day? You know, I can't answer that. I said, the only thing I can do is go out and try.
3-1 pitch. There's the drive into left field. That ball is going, and out of here. Henry Aaron has just tied Babe Ruth in the all-time home run parade. His teammates are there to greet him. A 3-run blast by Henry Aaron has tied the great Babe Ruth. The record they said that couldn't be reached has just been reached by
Hank Aaron, on behalf of the Braves, is this plaque signifying that on April 4, 1974, he hit home run 714, tie the Babe Ruth record set May 25th, 1935, and the rest of our celebration will take place Monday night in Atlanta, Georgia.
What are you hoping for in 1957?
I hope I can gain the National League batting championship, and I also hope that I can hit 30 or more home runs and drive in 100 or more runs.
Hank exceeded his own expectations in '57 with 132 RBIs, 44 home runs, and a .322 average.
That was the year I honestly believed that he would have hit 400 because he started the year out. He was getting at least 2 hits in almost every game.
But there was one hit that year that topped all others.
The pitch to Henry Aaron. They swing and a drive back into center field, going back towards the wall. It's back at that fence, and it is caught it out. It's a home run. The Braves are the champions of the National League.
I dreamed about that. I used to think about, boy, wouldn't it be nice for you to hit a pennant clinching, tie-breaking home run and skip around the bases, you know? It was a tremendous moment for me.
Hank was named National League MVP, and he helped carry the Braves to the World Series. There they met Mickey Mantle and the formidable New York Yankees. Seemingly unfazed, Aaron continued his spectacular play. But now, the whole world was his stage.
Aaron launches a terrific drive, 430 feet into the bullpen at left center. To that blast, third homer of the series for Aaron.
All he knew is he saw a baseball and hit it, and he did that very well.
When you were, say, 17 or 18, did you think you'd make the major leagues?
I never did have an idea that I'd ever make a major league.
But why not? After all, Hank grew up in Mobile, Alabama, home to 4 Hall of Fame players.
Mr. Water that we drank down there.
My father asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, I want to play Major League Baseball. My father knew good and well that if things stayed the way that they were, there was never going to be an opportunity.
Paving the way was the first black man in the majors, Jackie Robinson. Hank pioneered his own path years later, playing on the first integrated team in the Southern League, Jacksonville. He got his break in '54 when an ankle injury sidelined Bobby Thompson.
Charlie Grimm went into the dugout and saw Henry, but he didn't call him Henry. He just said, hey, you're in right field. And I remember that day, he got up there in St. Petersburg and he hit a home run, first time at bats. Now, what do you think he did the second time? Another home run.
It was a break, no question about it. You know, I was at the right place at the right time.
Some felt he was in the wrong place.
It was just so much segregation back in those days. You wasn't allowed to stay with your teammates. There were other things that you couldn't do because of the color of your skin.
And now that you've made it,
I hope I have a lot of success for years.
In the midst of social injustice, Hank persevered on the field.
You couldn't go in a restaurant to eat, but yet and still you had to be the best ball player on the field. If not, you're going to get sent back to the minor league.
A young Hank Aaron had only ever asked for one thing.
If given the chance, if just given the chance to do the same thing that they were afforded the freedom to do, then if I fail, then you can let me go, but just give me the opportunity.
And Hank wasn't about to let the opportunity slip away. By 1956, he led the league in hits and total bases. He stood beside some of the game's greatest stars, and one word epitomized his formula for success.
Patient. If I just stayed grounded and understood what I had to do and what I was up there to do, that I could play in that league.
Patience and quick wrists, the keys to greatness.
He didn't hit the ball high, but mostly on a line drive, and what I found out when he was young, he didn't really try to pull the ball, he just tried to hit it.
Hank Aaron lashes a double off the right field fence.
Henry, at the beginning of his career, was a spray hitter. After about 5 years, Henry did something that different. He changed his style of hitting. Eventually, he came to be a home run hitter.
What was it that made Hank Aaron so special?
The thing that people should know about Henry is how good a player he was, how good an all-around player he was. That's one of the most overlooked aspects of his career.
Think about how many hits he has. 3,700 and some odd hits, right? You take away the 755 home runs he hit, and he still got 3,000 hits.
He was indeed a complete ball player.
He was a very good fielder. Very good fielder, had a good arm, very accurate arm. Base running, he was a very good base runner. When we needed a stolen base to win a game or get in position, he stole a base.
A lot of things wasn't recognized that Aaron did because he did it with such ease.
He was so natural in everything he did. That's what made him a fooler. If you watch Willie Mays run, you know he's running. I would compare Hank running with Joe DiMaggio's running. He glided.
He was almost like a glider. He always had those hands back. Everybody was pitching him away, pitching him away, pitching him away. And he found a way to just kind of glide in there and just look where his hands are. When you get a chance, anybody that's watching this, when you get a chance, just watch where his hands are when he hits those home runs.
Show us sort of slow motion how you swing, would you?
Well, this is where I, like this, reach the ball like this and like this.
He was a guy that had great and tremendous wrist.
Quickest hands I've ever seen.
Quickest through the strike zone of anyone I ever saw.
He hit a line drive to Dick Groat, shortstop, and Dick Groat jumped. They said the ball tipped his glove, and it went out over the 420 mark.
You know, I asked him one time, what do you look for? He said, breaking balls. I said, why is that? He said, because they can't throw the fastball by me. And I said, well, that's for sure.
Line drive, base hit out of the left field. Henry Aaron makes the big turn at first base back in there.
I think the best hitter maybe right now is Henry Aaron right now in baseball.
What do you think makes him a great hitter, if there's one thing?
I think he's able to wait and keep his hands back and swing real quick at the ball.
He's mostly a wrist hitter. He hits at the last second, and when you think the ball is past him, he will hit the ball quick.
Right out of the catcher's glove.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, he'll hit it hard.
It just looked like he just went 400 feet, 400 feet.
If he hit the bottom of the ball, it would rise like a golf ball. And he was just unreal, and his hands were so quick. I marvel at that. That's one of the few guys I would go out and watch him hit batting practice because he's just so great.
Hank is the only person I've ever seen, the only hitter that could be fooled by a change of pace and have his body weight forward, but he still had the bat back here, and he'd go like that and just wrist the ball right on out of the ballpark.
There goes beyond. The ball is swung on, hit deep to left field. That is way back. That's the first home run in Riverfront Stadium, and that might be appropriate.
One of the things that all good hitters have to deal with is people say, oh, he was just gifted. He wasn't just gifted. He worked and worked and worked to get where he was.
And the thing about him is he's smart. See, I don't think people understand how smart Hank was. I mean, he knew all the time what was coming. He knew the umpires. He knew the catchers.
He could size up a situation within like 2 or 3 pitches. And the one thing I noticed about Henry is that when he was on the on-deck circle, he was always focused on what the pitcher was doing. And I'm sure he was doing that in the dugout. So by the time he came to the plate, he knew what sequences you were going to use.
I studied the game very much. You know, I could tell you at the end of the season, if I hit 40 home runs, who I hit those 40 home runs off of, what situation it was. I studied the game because I knew that in order for me to be a good hitter and to keep elevating myself up a little bit further, I had to know what I was doing.
Certain times a pitcher would get him out, and he'd come back, and he would just very casually put his helmet up on the hook there, and he would sit down, and he would just watch that pitch from there on in. And then once I saw him do that, I knew the next time he saw that pitcher was in trouble.
Don Drysdale, early on, used to get him out all the time because he threw from the side, and he threw pretty hard, and the right-hander against the right-hander. And one day he come back to the bench, and Hank said, I'm tired of this guy getting me out. I'm going to be different from here on in. So after that, I mean, he hit shots all over the place on Drysdale because he just made up his mind that whatever pitches he was throwing to get him out, that he was going to be just that much tougher.
Drysdale facing a tough customer. It's Hank Aaron, and there goes the tie score.
He was a perfectionist, although he may not say it. But a perfectionist is always looking for the next thing they can do better, no matter what kind of success they're having. So I found that to be true in Hank Aaron.
I don't know. He's just somebody that I can't imagine ever stepping on the baseball field again.
Babe Ruth was very popular. He set all kinds of offensive records, you know. And as I mentioned many times, the records are made to be broken.
And I knew the stakes had been dialed up because there was more people at the airport for us coming off of a road trip than I'd seen in my tenure with the Braves.
Hit it for me, Hank. Hit it my way.
The papers were going nuts with it. It was a Monday night game. I mean, the hype was huge.
He might have been nervous. He didn't seem nervous to me.
Before the game, in the clubhouse, there was celebrities walking through there like crazy. In fact, I don't even know it's been brought up, but Sammy Davis Jr. walked through there and got everybody's attention. He was doing a show in Las Vegas, and he said, hey, you guys catch that ball, give it to me, we'll put it in the show, and I'll give you X amount of dollars.
At the time, I think I was making about $25,000. They were talking about the ball being worth $30,000.
In the Atlanta bullpen, we decided we were not going to fight over the ball.
We had our territories mapped out.
We drew lots as to who could stand where, and I can still remember that you had 10-foot area that you could stand in, and we agreed you would not go out of that area after the ball. And
we were going to respect the territories. Nobody goes in. If the ball came in that area code, it belonged to you.
It was cold. It was unseasonably cold that night in Atlanta.
Someone told me later on, said it was cold. I didn't feel a thing. They said it was drizzling. I didn't feel a thing.
Hank told me what he was going to do. He said, I'm tired of this. I'm going to get this over with right now.
And here is Henry Aaron. This crowd is up all around. Henry Aaron in the second inning walked and scored. He's sitting on 7-14.
You're not thinking 7-15. You're not thinking of anything other than, okay, Henry's coming to the plate. Now, how am I going to proceed to pitch to him?
He had not been very friendly to me. If I hit 2 home runs off Al Downing the whole time I faced him was good.
Basically, I tried to throw all sinkers low and away, figuring if he's over anxious, he's going to swing at one of those pitches. Of course, he wasn't over anxious. He was never over anxious. He was just sitting back waiting like a cobra.
Here's the pitch by Downing. Swinging. There's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron. And this ball game is tied on the strength of the record-setting home run by Henry Aaron.
Well, I thought about you come a long ways, baby, from Mobile, Alabama, all the way to breaking one of the most prestigious records in baseball. I feel very proud of myself.
Yes, Henry Aaron has done it. At the age of 40, Babe Ruth was 40 when he hit 7-14.
I just thank God it's all over with. Thank you very much.
I just remember pointing over the fence. I said, it's gone, it's over the fence. I just remember him going into his trot, because Hank had a cold trot. I mean, he had probably the coldest trot around, because his one arm would move, and his arm here would kind of be still his arm would come back up.
That just sticks out of my mind where those 2 guys just could not contain themselves. They just ran on the field. They couldn't wait.
I don't know how my mother ever got out of the stand, but she was bent on being out there, which was fine with me, and she gave me the biggest, tightest hug I ever had in my life. I don't know how I got loose. It was a wonderful feeling to have your mother and your father and your family there to witness something that was historical as that was.
I don't remember much between catching the ball and then face-to-facing it with Henry when he was holding his mom, looking over his shoulder, and I went up to give it to him, and he had tears on his cheek and tears in his eyes. And I remember being stunned. I said, Henry Aaron is crying. That's my memory of the night. To see Henry Aaron hugging his mother with tears in his eyes. I'd never seen emotion from the man. That to this day, when you have your little memories and your warm fuzzies and you get the shivers, that did it for me, because it showed the boy that was in the man.
How would Henry Aaron describe Henry Aaron's 715th home run?
A swing, a long drive, way back, way back, way back. It's gone!
It's gone! 750!
No doubt.
He was a 24-time All-Star who became baseball's all-time home run king 25 years ago, Hank Aaron.
Hank's career is one of those where you just shake your head at and say he was so consistent and so good
for such a long time, and that's what you have to be to get 755 home runs.
His was a legacy of greatness.
Have you ever looked at Hank Aaron's numbers? Oh my God, unbelievable numbers.
But it's not just his numbers that have left a lasting impression on everyone.
To me, he reminds me a lot of Jackie Robinson. He's made it easier for a guy like me to come in and do what I've done.
When I got there, I said, you know, the one thing that I can do as a black player is to continue the fight that Jackie started.
God gave me a healthy body, a sound mind, and talent.
The black players, man, we felt a source of achievement, even though we didn't hit the home run. You know, he set the new modern day mark, and it was black men that did it. Shoot, man, like I said, it was like we all achieved something.
He also is a man who, underneath himself, really carried the torch for social change, playing in Atlanta. And he fought that and still fighting it.
It had been for me, to quote a very popular song, a long and winding road.
Leader by example, leader by performance, and that's how he demanded his respect.
What he went through as an individual and was able to continue to carry himself as a gentleman on the field, as a sportsman on the field. He was a pillar of strength, and if anybody, black, white, red, or technicolor has a problem, you can look at Henry Aaron and say, look at the strength he had.
It was not fame I sought, but rather to be the best baseball player that I could possibly be.
Well, baseball was great. I played it for 23 years. I played the game the only way I knew how to play it, and that's to give it everything that I had. That's 110%. If I look back and if somebody want to write something about me, I want them to just remember me as someone that cared about other people.